Welcome to the Scaling Transformative Advanced Manufacturing Pathways Showcase. We are so grateful that you all are here with us. This is being recorded, and as we get started, please add your name, title, organization into the chat so we can start to get to know each other just a little bit. Following this introduction, we are going to turn it over to our communities to share what they've been up to through this grant term. And then hang around to the end where we're going to share the latest public version of our STAMP data dashboard. Very excited to be sharing that, as well as an update on college and career pathway endorsements and what that looks like for our STAMP communities and the IMA's scholarship for our manufacturing pathway students. I'd like to say welcome to Sarah Hartwig. Can you just give a quick shout out for everybody?
Yes, hi, good afternoon. I'm excited to see everyone and really excited for this opportunity to showcase all of the amazing work that has been done over the last 2 years in relation to this grant, and also know that these best practices are being shared in conversations at the legislature, because this has really been proven as a model that can be replicated in other parts of the state if we just get some support from the state as well. And we have a bill that's actually moving through the legislature that will do that within the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. But thank you for inviting me. Thank you all for being here. And I'm really excited to hear the showcase.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. As you all know, the IMA has served as a fiscal sponsor for this grant, and we're so appreciative that we can be partners together, the IMA and Education Systems Center at NIU. And I'd love for you all to meet our executive director here at Ed Systems, Kyle Westbrook.
Thanks, Sarah. And Sarah, appreciate the chance to sit in on this meeting and really kind of get to know the work more intimately. And I've heard so much in my short time here at Ed Systems Center about STAMP, and have seen the dashboard and seen so much great evidence of the work that's happening in our community. So I'm really excited to learn more. But just as a quick reminder about the kind of macro level goals of STAMP around increasing, that secondary enrollment in manufacturing pathways, particularly for underrepresented students, increasing dual credit offerings and enrollments in manufacturing, increasing the number of students that are earning that college and career post-secondary, pathway endorsement, and along the way, some of those industry credentials, obviously increasing that matriculation into the post-secondary manufacturing programs, and then really using the data. And I'm really looking forward to, the community presentation, and also thinking about the dashboard and how all this data at state and local level can actually help support and make the case for the work that IMA is doing in the legislature around, how do we make sure that our state supports these kinds of initiatives, especially in key sectors where we know there are opportunities for our young people. And so really just excited and thrilled to hear and learn more from all the folks out in our communities that are working directly with our students. So I'll turn it back to Sarah to move us into the next part of our agenda.
Yeah, thanks so much, Kyle. And if you don't already know me, I'm Sarah Clark, and I work on the Education Systems Center team, and I've been the project lead for STAMP, and it's just great to see you all here today. We have been in this project for 2 years. In our first portion of the arc of engagement, we were digging into not only what does a high quality pathway in manufacturing look like, both curriculum as well as work-based learning, but also thinking about where are our potential equity barriers and who are those underrepresented students that we need to reach in new ways. And this past year, we have taken those learnings from year one and started to operationalize them. What are those plans that we can put in place to ensure that historically marginalized students are being reached and successful in manufacturing pathways across Illinois? And with that, I'm so excited to turn it over to our communities who are going to share a little bit about what they've been learning. And first up is Chicago Public Schools. Bern.
Hi, everybody. I apologize. I'm at home with a sick child, so I I would hope you'd be okay with the background noise. Yes, Bernadette Lemos, Director of Chicago Roadmap. It's been a great partnership. I am presenting on Tamika's stead. On behalf of Tamika, it's her birthday week, so she's out of the office, but she's been sort of involved in this process as well. But as part of the roadmap, we work closely with, CPS has a strong relationship with City Colleges of Chicago. We work very closely together, and all of this is just a testimony of that partnership, but we work closely to really inform our curriculum and our students through this process. Through this process, it was a heavy focus for us to be involved in sort of apply for the college and career pathway endorsement framework. Believe it or not, we did not have our manufacturing pathway sort of endorsed. We currently do not yet, but there's been a lot of lessons learned, and I'll talk about, our experience with that process. But we have definitely focused on that submission. We've submitted it with multiple times now, but we are certain that there's going to be some great outcomes of that. As a result of focusing on CCPE, there's just been a lot of new thinking around strategic partnerships. We have even audited our supplies and equipment, our vendor sort of language, and our vendors as a result of this collaborative group. And as, thinking through how we show up, as part of the application as well. We've revised the curriculum. I'll talk a little bit more about that, specifically around team-based challenges and other areas. We've more than doubled our dual credit enrollment access. We currently have 3 schools running the pathway in the district, one that is actively running the pathway, and I'm specifically talking about that school. And then finally, I'd like to say we've strengthened post-secondary partnerships. We do have a strong partnership with CCC, as mentioned, but there's something called Spotlight Days, which we're really proud of, and that's really bringing in students to go see all of the 7 city colleges of Chicago and understanding their center of excellence. And Daly College's center of excellence is manufacturing. They actually have done millions of dollars worth of upgrades, and we are so excited to bring many students there. In fact, this year we brought over 500 students alone, including middle school students. And so we are stressing that awareness sooner with younger people, and we're excited about that. Next slide, excuse me. Some lessons learned, especially when it comes to the application. ISB is a very detailed organization, and I think CPS had a lot of things to learn from that. And things like around our team-based challenge, things like, are our team-based challenges more task-based? What is the final product and presentation? Some of those details. We had to really work around how we define it as a district and really agree upon it. And as you know, with such a large district, that's a challenge. But we feel really good about it, and we feel good with the guidance we had through this partnership and the collaboration with this group, that there's going to be some really good outcomes of that as well. Other lessons we've learned is quality equipment is essential. Not only tied to team-based challenges, but we're learning that manufacturing equipment is really costly. The one that you see down there is about $80,000. And at Prosser alone, we're really just needing to replace a part that's like $2,000. The problem is that part, it's really old. I mean, like, you can't find anybody to fix it. Either we're in a hole, like in a rock somewhere, but it's just been a challenge, and it affects the learning environment, and we continually have to find alternative ways to sort of do things as it relates to sort of the learning content focused and tied to that equipment. And so we're thinking about, as a district, how do we become more creative? How to become more sustainable, more economical with our equipment, but at the same time, making sure that we are on the forefront of bringing those skills to students. Final slide. We are very committed to expanding the pathway to other schools. I went to 2 schools next year. So, part of our challenge is getting the right teachers in place. I'm sure you're aware of that, but dual credit credentialing around that continues to be a challenge. Summer training for instructors. We have our instructors signed up for summer training this summer, and we are going to increase certifications for students and instructors, NIM certification to be specific, and that's what we'll be focusing our efforts on. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Certainly some unique things that your district is facing in the state, but a lot of lessons I think apply. I saw a lot of heads nodding with the cost of equipment. That is certainly a commonality. All right, I'd like to invite Terry Stroh to share.
Thank you, Sarah. We got 3 of us here today to kind of go over what we've done in our region. So I'll introduce myself. I'm Terry Stroh. I'm the EFE director for Northern Kane County. I work with school districts U46, D300, 301, and 303 down in St. Charles, along with, we'll go ahead and start off with Nancy Coleman from the Alignment Collaborative and introduce herself.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you. Yes, I serve as the director for the Alignment Collaborative for Education, which is a 501c3 organization that was created by the mayor of Elgin and several large companies in the area, specifically focusing heavily in manufacturing and healthcare. We are now a 200+ volunteer organization that works to provide work-based learning opportunities for students across 9 high schools, 3 school districts, U46, 300, and 301. We are not employed by the school district. We are totally independent of the school district.
Kathy Taylor.
Apologies. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Can.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Terry. I appreciate being here and being a part of this presentation today. My name is Kathy Taylor. I am the Dean of the Sustainability Business and Career Technologies Division at Elgin Community College. And our division houses most, not all, but most of the career tech education programs at the college, including the manufacturing programs.
So if you want to go to the next slide there, Sarah, we were working on 2 different aspects of our manufacturing programs. This first one, Kathy and I worked on with the community college and our high schools. Kathy will let you talk a little bit about the student engagement piece that we had there.
So we, as a college, partnered with our continuing education department and ran this through what's called Kids College. It's a program that we run every summer here at ECC. And ideally what we did was Terry and I put our heads together and we thought, why not introduce manufacturing to the rising freshmen? And so these, the pictures you see here are students who had just completed 8th grade and were going into their freshman year this fall. And so part of the challenge that we had was that, first of all, we were only able to accommodate, I believe it was up to like 12 to 14 students. And the moment that we opened up the enrollment, I just checked with our continuing education director, and the slots filled within 45 minutes. Within 45 minutes, we had all of those slots filled. And so it made it a little problematic for us to be able to address this going forward in terms of adding more students into the program. But we did have 2 instructors who volunteered, who came in, and I wouldn't say volunteered, but they came in to help lead the instruction. So the students spent 2 days in the welding labs and then 2 days in the manufacturing lab. And in the manufacturing lab, they were actually able to walk away with a piece that they had produced on the desktop mills that we now have in the classroom.
I want to go to the next slide there. And Kathy kind of already teed up part of this there, that communication was key. I know even last summer, we had one district overload the entire class because they were able to get it out much faster than some of the others. So it's good to hear that we're full up again this year for that summer program. Marketing to the right students. We now have school links that we are using as our work-based learning and our career planner and school planner. So students are able to fill out their interest surveys, and we're able to target this information out to those students that have said they were thinking about manufacturing or career in manufacturing. So kind of working from there with all of those pieces. And as Kathy said, there's more interest out there than you would imagine. With limited slots, it's easy to fill up these summer programs. On top of this, District 300 in our region is also running a summer CTE camp for both 5th and 6th graders, and then 7th and 8th graders. And that 7th and 8th grade group, they are doing some manufacturing, they are doing some welding. So it's kind of cool to see a middle school student put a stick welder in their hand or a MIG welder in their hand for the first time and start having sparks fly around and see the excitement that they get from doing some of that. So we're going to continue to work on this and see how do we work on making this better and trying to give more opportunities across the board in this area. We'll go to the next slide there. Kathy, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I was just going to add one other thing too. In the manufacturing portion of this summer camp, we worked with the instructor worked with students to actually program the desktop mills. And out of that programming came the keychains that students were able to actually manufacture, make, and walk away with. So it's something they got to see manufacturing from the very start to the end, and how you actually do the development, the prototypes, and then do the programming to produce the final product.
Awesome. Thank you again for joining us today. Appreciate that. The second piece that we've kind of worked with Alignment Collaborative, and this piece is increasing work-based learning in manufacturing. We are getting ready to head into summer number 3 here of summer internships. And talk a little bit about here with Nancy. I'll let you kind of talk about some of the challenges we faced and kind of how we've grown this over the last couple of years.
Excellent. Well, and Terry is really good about giving you numbers, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the programs that have been built too. The pictures before you are actually Elgin Sweeper. We had 3 welders actually functioning directly welding as juniors in high school last year from 3 different districts. We this year are implementing for the first time an internship program, which is a manufacturing rotation program with Hoffer Plastics. We have been working for the last 3 years with ITW Shakeproof in designing team-based challenged internships. And we are for the first time having an internship this year with Harding USA. We have been very successful with using the 60-hour model. Because of generous donations to Alignment, we have been able to provide stipends to students for the 60-hour experience. That 60-hour experience, as you know, also qualifies them for an elective credit while still in high school. Our primary audience are juniors moving into their senior year. We do take a few sophomores, but just to give you an idea of the growth, and help me with this, Terry, 3 years ago, we were at 45, 50 internships. Last year, we were at 83 paid internships. This year, we will be at over 130 internships. We are just at the last piece of this, fitting students into positions. So we're really excited about this program and the growth that we've seen.
Yeah, and it's not just the growth in number of positions. The young man that's there in the picture in the top with his welding hood up, he was a junior. Elgin Sweeper has been a great partner for us on advisory boards or sending welders out to come talk to the classroom. But for the longest time, they were set on that welders needed 3 to 5 years experience before they would hire them on. We kept inviting them out and just come see what's going on in class. And then last summer when we called and said, hey, did you still want 2 interns for your engineering department? They said, well, yeah, we'll take those 2, but can we also get 2 for welding? And Nancy and I felt like we called the wrong number or something and kind of backtracked a little bit. We then had to call and have a big ask. And we said, not just 2, but can you take 3? Because we have 3 districts in the region that were participating in that welding piece there. They were nice enough to take 3 on. And that young man in the top picture not only finished his 2-week internship, but they ended up hiring him on full time for the rest of the summer to work there at Elgin Sweeper. And now they've even said a month ago or so, they said, hey, by the way, if he'd like a job, we have a job waiting for him when he graduates here in May. So it's exciting news to see how it's grown there with those opportunities. You want to go to the next slide? Thank you. Once again, communication is key. We sent out an entire list of, we had 100, it started off at 175 internship opportunities over 9 career areas. Some of that being in manufacturing, engineering, welding. So we've been able to kind of build that up. But once again, communication out to our students is really key to all of that, getting the listing out to them as soon as possible. For all of that, trying to build upon those pieces, make sure, because districts have sometimes, because we're running it from a regional aspect, we can't contact students from their school email addresses. So making sure students had a personal email address that they could use. And then working from there, the last piece, rebuild or having resume building workshops that Nancy's group with Alignment Collaborative and myself and others put together to teach students how to write a good resume and how to highlight classes they had taken in high school for the skill sets that were going to be required for these internships. Overall, we're really excited. Like I said, this is going into summer number 3. So to go from 52 internships placed the first year to over, I think it's getting close to 140 right now, and it's grown into other areas as well. We're really excited about all that, but especially about the manufacturing partnerships we've grown. As Nancy mentioned, Harding USA, Hoffer Plastics coming on now for the first time. Lakeview Precision Manufacturing is taking a couple students this summer, along with an Elgin Sweeper. So ITW Shakeproof, also another manufacturer that's taking people on. And not just on the manufacturing or operations side, but on the engineering side. So kind of hitting both students that want to go on to a 4-year degree in engineering and those students who are looking to go into more of the operations and the manufacturing side. So it's been really exciting overall with that. And I couldn't do it without our partners here in the region, both ECC and the Alignment Collaborative and all of our business partners. I think that's it for us.
Thank you so much, Terry and team. I think one of the things that's always really exciting to see about your region is how creative you are thinking about how to utilize the grant dollars and how you're really focused on transitional moments in students' lives and how can we, help expose them to great opportunities in manufacturing at those transition times.
Yeah, those are some of the logos there, some of the companies we dealt with. How do we try to build this out with the summer internship opportunities? And our biggest piece now is how do we get more dollars in from these companies to continue to help fund this? Our grant dollars won't always be able to fund it. I think for this year, we're about $100,000 going out to students in stipends for all these different positions. And then looking to hire more people in the future to help, monitor and keep all these things running.
Thank you. Michelle, I'd like to welcome you to share.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Napier with District 211. We are in the northwest suburbs, and it is Palatine, Schaumburg, Hoffman, Fremd, and Conant, and 2 alternative schools. But we are part of the Northwest Educational Council for Student Success Nexus, which we are one of 2 other high school districts, including District 214, 220, and Harper College. And Nancy of JTech, who is on this call as well, is our EFE and works with all 3 of our districts, including Harper, to keep us in alignment. And we work together as we continue to build pathways, not only for manufacturing, but other areas. Go ahead, Sarah. And so just a little bit about District 211 manufacturing. We've been doing this for several years, actually. And we have been working with Harper to develop a strong pathway into manufacturing. Palatine High School and Schaumburg High School really have the core and meat and potatoes of manufacturing. However, students in our other buildings have the option to go to our other schools to take those courses. But the entry-level pathway courses are offered in all 5 of our buildings. So we currently have 340 students enrolled in the pathway just this year alone. And we have a dual credit partnership with Harper College with at least 18 gain of early college credit that they could obtain while in high school. We do offer NIM certification opportunities for our students. I know I've heard mixed from industry on that, but we continue to provide that as an opportunity for our students. We have strong industry partnerships, and actually culminating with our seniors who are indicating employment after high school as a path. We offer a senior job fair. And we have a row of manufacturers looking to hire right out of high school, which is an amazing opportunity. And our career advisors do a lot of pre-work with our students, having a resume and giving them that elevator pitch to work and be able to present themselves for the first time for some of them in front of employers. The great thing about our pathway is we have 12 credits embedded already at high school in the general certificate for manufacturing offered through Harper College. They can technically have that completed at the time that they graduate, with some summer concurrent enrollment opportunities for the 2 courses we do not currently offer. And at minimal, they can have that the summer of their senior year that they graduate, they can get completion. Go ahead, Sarah. So I'd like to highlight our strong industry partnerships for sure. Harper College, we have regular classroom visits with them on both sides. They come to see us, we go to see them. It's been an amazing relationship and open to conversation, really sharing best practices and industry standards. Our curriculum alignment is strong. We continue to look at that and make sure that as we partner with our advisory board that's also listed here, that we are doing exactly what industry is supporting in the classroom. And we have ongoing training. Our teachers will go work with Harper instructors to make sure that we are on task and using equipment that is best for our students. I know we're going to hear from GCamp, but we have a long history of relationship with GCamp, and this is for many, many years. And I even remember being at Schaumburg in my role there, having an industry breakfast with GCamp as our sponsor. And without that, in those constant conversations and our relationship with Harper, I think it would have been very much of a struggle for us to get that up and running. And so through those conversations, Mark Hibner, who is an amazing teacher at Palatine High School and an industry leader for sure for us, created an advisory board in conjunction with Harper, and it is robust, and we meet 4 times a year, which I know many advisors is twice a year. And they are in constant conversation, bringing us to the next level. Team-based challenges, we are rich in industry in our area, which is very fortunate for us. So having them come in to work with our teachers for team-based challenges is amazing. And Kevin, one of our partners, is willing to come in and meet with teachers with his own time during the school day, which has been fantastic. And even today, our students are at TMA doing their team-based challenge over there and competing. Next slide, please. So when we talk about college and career pathway endorsement, I know Bernadette brought this up from Chicago Public. It's definitely been some challenges as we navigate that in terms of feedback, but we did apply last year. We did not have any students earn the endorsement, and mostly because for us to work through some of the career development experiences, and I'll talk a little bit about that, it was hard for us to capture that logistically, but I think we're getting at a better point now. So we have a dashboard that we use as we have our credentials, our pathway endorsement information reviewed and updated. Go ahead and click a button, Sarah. So for each one of the pathways that we have approved, we're able to track kids who have either already met, will meet, or for whatever reason is not going to target to meet in that school year. Go ahead. And then you can see specifically the areas in terms of the CCPE criteria that we can measure: 6 credits of college credit, 2 years of coursework in the pathway. Have they met the team-based challenges, work-based learning, reading and math requirements? And so we can get an idea of where they'll be. Go ahead. And then from there, we can identify, and this is all clickable and gives us a level to bring down at different levels, but we're able to see for an individual student how they met it. So for this particular student, you can see easily has earned more than 6 hours in 2 years in the pathway. You can see where the team-based challenges are embedded. Yellow means in progress, green means it's already been achieved. And then where their work-based learning has been met. Go ahead, Sarah. And definitely some areas of growth for us continues to be in the career development experience opportunities. And while you would think we have all of these partnerships, and we do, it is really difficult for us to, just from a system standpoint, how to track these opportunities, what, paid opportunities versus course credit. What does that look like? Who's managing? Who's the contact? How are we vetting out these opportunities to make sure they're safe for our students? Just logistically, through the lens of equity and opportunities, what are out there for our students? Many of our students can't work after school because they have family commitments. What is an opportunity for student enterprises within the school day, within our school buildings? And then who's responsible? What teacher has the FTE? Who's our work-based learning coordinator? So we've been super creative this year. We created our own form to track. We know our kids are being paid. Our teachers are getting them placed in industry. So what does that look like? How can we capture that? Creating systems in Infinite Campus to be able to say, yes, we have confirmed they do have this 60-hour paid experience. I'm able to at least keep that in check for us for our CCPE requirement. And then another area is really having those conversations about coursework leading to career. And then when we looked at our data, many of our kids have the coursework, but maybe not meeting the college-ready English and math. So how can we do better intervention on getting them in transitional English and math early on, and having those conversations prior to their senior year to make sure we're setting them up for success? Go ahead, Sarah. So our next steps are, we are looking to expand our career development experiences and continue to build those strong industry partnerships, looking for some student-based enterprises through the lens of equity and opportunity for all students in all of our buildings. We have a dual credit partnership now in welding. We secured that a couple of years ago, but it's taken us some time to get it up and running. So we wanted to make sure that we had all safety equipment in place and we understood our curriculum alignment with that. So we're excited to offer that to some of our students as a capstone next year. And then just really having a campaign for outreach for our non-traditional POPs and historically underrepresented students, making sure that counselors understand, teachers understand, and really getting this early on, as soon as even with our 8th graders. We're a high school district. Sometimes those relationships in the middle school are some challenging, but we're working hard to have those conversations.
Thank you so much, Michelle. I really appreciate you highlighting how important it is to have that strong post-secondary partner with your, in your community college space to be able to offer such robust early college credit specific to your career focus area. That's incredible. And also just the work into designing systems to track, which once we start doing that, we can really start to identify any equity gaps that are happening with our student participants. And so really glad to see all the work you've put into it and appreciate you sharing that out so others can learn from it. Dawn.
Yeah, hi. So I feel like Michelle gave me a great introduction. So I'm the executive director of GCAMP. GCAMP is a 501c3 charity organization. Our roots are actually in District 211 and Districts 214. We were started by manufacturers that really just saw the need for more workforce development, particularly through building partnerships with the schools. And we've really just expanded since there, and we're in the whole kind of greater Chicago area right now. So kind of preaching to the choir here, but just some data for you. Over the next decade, there's going to be over 3.5 million manufacturing jobs openings in the United States, and about 2 million of those are going to go unfilled. So again, it's just not just the manufacturers in our area that are looking for to develop their workforce. It's happening all over the country. And right now, women make up only about 29% of the manufacturing workforce. So I love the poster, Michelle, featuring women and encouraging women to go into manufacturing, because right now that's a really big untapped market for this industry. When I started at GCAMP, which was just less than 2 years ago, one of the first things I did was I was trying to look into the research. If we're trying to get people into manufacturing jobs and we're trying to get students to choose this pathway, how can we best influence them to make that choice? So I really looked into the research. I wanted to make sure that the messaging we were provided was really research-driven, data-driven. And so I just wanted to share some of the big takeaways that I found today. So you can go to the next slide, Sarah. So some of the big takeaways when you want to really start, igniting that manufacturing interest with kids, you need to start young. I know at GCAMP, I speak with a lot of high school students, but sometimes if you get somebody interested in manufacturing and they're a junior, they're a senior, they've already missed out on some of the great opportunities that their schools offer. Oftentimes when I talk to students, they don't even know what manufacturing is, and they can be, 15, 16, 17 years old. So we got to make sure that when they're in elementary school and in middle school, they're starting to hear about these things early on, so that when they do have those opportunities presented to them to take a welding class or to take a machining class, they're not going to pass it by because it just seems so foreign. So to make sure that we're starting young, offering kids real world experiences through things like manufacturing tours, hands-on activities, opportunities to talk with professionals. Those are a lot of the things that GCAMP's been focusing on throughout the years. And then rinse and repeat, make sure we're doing it over and over and over again. It's something that we do in GCAMP and really try to build that interest. I just love this picture. That's a robotics team, a middle school, largely girls. It's 4 girls, 1 boy, middle school robotics team that GCAMP sponsors, because we really just believe in the cause of making sure that young people, especially girls, are interested in things like manufacturing robotics. By the way, their team is called the Marshmallow Menagerie, so that explains their outfits. And the mascot was brand new to the team this year, so I love the picture. You can go to the next slide. And then, once we find these students that we're trying to target, how are we going to make sure that our message is really hitting home with them? How do we reach that tipping point that actually gets them to start thinking about a manufacturing pathway? Really critical, the research that I'm finding over and over again, it says make sure that the person delivering the message is the right person. And I saw, Heather, your comment about you're about to ask about the marshmallows, but the right person. And who's the right person? The research I've been reading says the best person is if you can get a current student in the program to talk to students. That's the best person, because they can relate to them on such a better level than I can, than a person that's worked in manufacturing for 30 years. Somebody that's just a couple years older than them, has experienced the program, is currently in the program, is also in their school, a current participant or an alumni. That's the very best person. On top of it, if you can get someone that has a similar background, that shares a similar background to those students, even better. The picture I shared on this slide, this was we were in East Aurora High School, and we brought in some manufacturers to talk to the student.
The guy that's talking to him that day was an East Aurora graduate. And so he connected so well with these students, better than any other manufacturer I brought in. He was a young guy. He was like 25 years old. Oh, I remember when I had this person as a teacher. Oh, I live in your neighborhood. Oh, whatever. The kids were eating out of his hand. It just made such a big difference to have that message delivered by the right person. Okay, you can go to the next slide. So then you have to think about, well, what is the message? What are we going to try to tell students to get them to get into this pathway? Again, I looked at the research. This was from a study that was done by the National Alliance for Partnerships and Equity Education. And they surveyed a bunch of people, college-age people who are currently in a manufacturing pathway, and said, what were the messages you received that were most influential to you to get you to choose manufacturing as a pathway? First of all, what they found were the influential messages were different depending on whether it was a man or a woman in the pathway. Sometimes there were similarities. You can see the number one thing that was influential to both of them was job security. The second one, same to both, the pay is good. So those are things actually that I find that manufacturers do tell our students a lot. But where it starts to differentiate, I thought this was so interesting. For women, they said the job allows me to be creative. I feel like when I take students to talk to manufacturers really rarely emphasize that. And that was something that was important to the female students. The male students, they wanted to see that the jobs were well respected, that it kind of elevated their social status a little bit. If I had this job, that I was somebody important. For the women, this was another one that was really surprising. It was a tie for fourth place, but the one that I thought was surprising, they wanted to hear that manufacturing is a field that makes the world better for others. So if I'm doing something in manufacturing, maybe I'm in healthcare, maybe I'm creating innovative solutions, maybe I'm creating things that are going to help save lives or make things safer for people or more accessible to people. Those were the messages that some of the female students wanted to hear. They wanted to hear that they were actually making a contribution to society by being in manufacturing, and that was important to them. And then we've got some of the things that were very interesting to the men. Manufacturing jobs allowed them to be creative, and that it was very team oriented. So these were some of the messages. I feel like when I talk to manufacturers and I bring them in front of students, they want to talk about it. The pay, oh, I had this great car by the time I was 25 because I worked in manufacturing, or I was able to support my family in manufacturing. Well, it goes beyond that. But the big takeaway from this, though, it's kind of there at the bottom of the slide, was that none of these messages really trended towards being extremely influential. So the point of the study was that we actually need to make sure we're getting a variety of messages across to the students. It's not just one thing that's going to be the tipping point. It's not just saying, hey, everybody, you should go into manufacturing because it's a secure job and the pay is good. It's different things that mean things to different people, and you need to have your messaging be a variety of these factors. And so make sure you're including all of these, and remember, for the female students, it might be a different message that tips them over the edge versus the male students. So I love this research. I found it really interesting, and it's something when I do talk to students that I always keep in the back of my mind. One thing I want to highlight, I was just at South Elgin High School. We hosted a manufacturing breakfast there about a month ago. The South Elgin manufacturing students are doing this amazing project where they are actually machining parts that go into artificial limbs that are then being sent to Latin American countries. I mean, talking about doing a job that's making the world a better place. And I feel like that's a really great marketing piece for that program, something that's really going to resonate with students. Again, allows them to be creative. It's above and beyond that. It's a good paying job. It's a secure job. Manufacturing is something that is making the world a better place. And it's a direct example of that. So that's that slide. And I want to keep it short and sweet. So that's all I have today. But if anybody is interested in learning more about GCAM, or you want to reach out to me, we're online. There's our website, or on those 4 social media platforms. And I'd love to hear from you.
Thanks so much, Dawn. I love the regrounding that we have a story to tell about what manufacturing is today. And it really demands that we be thoughtful about how we tell those stories, when, to who, I really appreciate that insight. Thank you. Peoria, Dr. Hassan, Michelle, I think you're there, and I just saw Andrew was able to come in. Would you like to take it away?
Hi, sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Really excited to be here, and I am actually teeing this up for Andrew Rice. He's currently in a manufacturing lab right now because he does that part-time as well as teach for us, and he brings so much experience. So, Mr. Rice, on his phone. So if you can just begin the slides, you should be able to jump right in.
Yes, and thanks for the opportunity. And like I said, I'm Andrew Rice, and I teach the manufacturing and welding pathways at Manual High School in the Peoria Public School District. And on the first slide, under manual manufacturing, it says our goal was to increase the number of students in our manufacturing pathway. We want to create. The biggest thing is just create opportunity. So many people ask me, what it is or why do you love doing what you do? And that question is so easy when I say it's, through manufacturing, there are so many opportunities, and it's so cool to introduce all the students, to it. And, and almost to the point and I am, of course, pro manufacturing, but if we can introduce it to the majority of our students, the majority of them are gonna like it and gonna want to pursue it. But even if we have ones that are introduced to it and don't like it, I have those conversations with them, and that's still a win. It really is. But like I said, solutions, more advertising with students, more publicity about the program, including a signing day. That picture that you see on the middle right, what we do, it's very similar to like an athletic college signing event. The third or fourth year of our pathway, students have an opportunity to intern with Caterpillar in East Peoria. And currently, they do a rotational program. And what's great about this program, it's, they cannot go to their counselors and say, I want to go to Caterpillar. They're chosen, through the success of our, freshman, sophomore, junior years. And, and right now they do a rotation where every 5 or 6 weeks they do a stint in maybe logistics or supply chain. We have students building transmissions and assembly and machining the parts that go into those transmissions, in the whole machining side of things. We have students that are in the 3D printing labs, the process engineering, and there's just, several. The facility that we're at is one of the largest heat treating, facilities that Caterpillar has. And my students get introduced to the heat treating process. So they really do get a really good or broad introduction to really what, manufacturing is about. And another really great thing about the program is, we cater to the students that, of course, they want to go right into the workforce. But just, for an example, we have 15 interns that are at this specific facility this year. And 3 of those are continuing on with college internships and pursuing a career in engineering. So we can kind of cater to, wherever they're at or whatever their goals are. But moving forward, targeting students with a desire for hands-on learning and needing career goal and skills. And although, I would say we have some of the best welding shops and manufacturing shops, in any high school, at the school, it simply doesn't duplicate or replicate what they see on the job, in that corporate environment. And that's really what we get out of it. They just get just that ultimate exposure of really, heavy machinery and how things are built, and from the idea to the finished product, I guess. But total students, 96, up from 92. Student demographics include 9 white, 67 black, 15 Hispanic, 11 females, and 85 males. So our business partner, as I've been talking, is, Caterpillar is our biggest partner. And, our partnership goes back about a dozen or more years right now, starting out with just, classroom support, lab support, some curriculum, some machinery. We'd have a lot of guest speakers, mentoring, and then back in 2018, we were able to take it to the next level and offer that intern program, which essentially is a pipeline right to either full-time employment, or that college interns, to get them. Really, it's really up to the student, and they want to see them succeed in whatever their goals are. So, like I said, business partner, Caterpillar, partnership begins with freshmen and sophomore students using equipment and supplies provided by Caterpillar. And then their senior year, the students apply for a year-long paid internship in the afternoons of the school day. So their 5th, 6th, and 7th hour are spent, at the specific facility. Educational partners, the STAMP program and the Perfect program with, Chris Kendall, we get a lot of our, in-house welding lab machinery. And I just want to highlight this year with the STAMP grant, we gave up during COVID. We were partnering with ICC, offering dual credit welding. And of course, when we went full remote, we gave up the dual credit piece because it just wasn't, I just didn't think it was fair to offer dual credit for an online virtual welding curriculum. But of course, over last summer, we were able to get that partnership going. And what I used with the STAMP grant is I wanted to, mimic their or copy their curriculum. And of course, we had different textbooks, so we used some of the money to buy the exact textbooks that ICC uses in their entry level, welding classes. And then also, I think I remember hearing from the very first slide how expensive the equipment is. And we were able to, replenish all our consumables in welding with, the diffusers, the tips, the nozzles, extra liners for, for MIG welding and electrodes for stick welding. And that stuff it's so expensive. So, thank you for that. And let's move on to the second slide. So lessons learned. We needed to add additional courses, and I would like to see happen in the next couple of years, add maybe 2 more dual credits, classes, through ICC. Student preparation for internships was more than skill development. Students need on-the-job monitoring from home high school. As I mentioned, you just can't duplicate the experience that they get in the industry versus, like I said, the classrooms are great, but when they see, they interact with people. Some of the things that Caterpillar has also helped us out with is, I guess they used to call it, soft skills, and I think they now call it employability or essential skills. They have a set curriculum that they teach our students. How to write a resume. How to be. How important it is to work on time, and to be an asset versus a liability, and things like that. And then the district, of course, must provide transportation. The bus picks them up right in front of the school, brings them to the Caterpillar facility, and then they are back at school about 10 minutes or so before the 7th hour bell rings. So next slide, please. And then student success stories. It's really where everything is at, and I just picked, I could take the next couple of hours and tell you about 100 or so different success stories, but Caitlin she was a 2023 graduate last year, and one of our top test score, highest GPAs that we had in, at school. And she had a heart for welding, and that's all this girl wanted to do. And I've always joked that, women make some of the best welders because, for one, I think they mature a little bit sooner. Their hands might be a little bit steadier. But anyway, her skill level was near expert level by the time she was a senior. And she is currently a production welder at Caterpillar in East Peoria. And of course, I said, goes against the family. It really wasn't, her family had kind of a plan written out for her, but it was really, once they saw that, the skill level that she really had, it was easy, for them to, okay, so you know what, you're doing what you want to do. And, moving on to Darius, he was also a 23 graduate. He was one of my, and Darius is actually pictured, looking at that picture, the third one over from the left, and Caitlin was the fourth one over from the left. So Darius, I picked him because he was the kind of the middle of the road student. Really was, he wasn't off the radar, on the radar. He showed up all the time. He just did what he needed to do to kind of not really worry about him. And at the end of the year, when we had our conversations with the students, and he mentioned, I would like to go full time, and he had he really enjoyed assembling, building the transmissions that go in these big bulldozers and haul trucks and loaders and everything else. But so he accepted a job in assembly, and now he is getting ready to celebrate his 1-year anniversary. And I am in close contact with, with his supervisor and then his supervisor's boss. And I just cannot talk more about Darius, how he's one of the best team members they have. He perfect attendance. He shows up every day and does his job. And actually, they're telling me that, of course, when they do these builds, there's a set amount of transmissions that they want you to get done. And he is finishing those numbers in about 6 hours. So they're wondering, like, okay, what else can we have Darius do? Because he's just really got accustomed to the job. And I think it's great because he just maintained just kind of like that average, average guy, in high school, but now he's just excelling. And I'm gonna back up about 10 or 12 years with Sterling. He is, I believe he was a 2014 graduate of mine, and he wound up, he really kind of, took over the hearts of a lot of the, the factory managers that were supporting us at the time, coming into the classrooms and talking. He just was really outspoken, and everyone enjoyed, working with Sterling. And although he missed the opportunity to be one of my high school interns, we quickly got him employed. And he is, I believe, over 9 years as a production welder, which, so he's maxed out, he's scaled out to the maximum pay. His wife is also working in assembly at another Caterpillar facility, and he's got 3 beautiful children, has a really nice house in a great subdivision. And I can tell you, he didn't come from a family. His dad has been incarcerated, back incarcerated, and he's just the road that he chose, I think was not the road that everyone expected him to. So, and I just think it's such a great story. And like I mentioned, he's a 2014 graduate, and I don't think 3 or 4 weeks goes by without a conversation between him and I. And then I want to highlight Areli. Areli will actually be my first student. Like I said, the E4L CAT intern program started in 2018, and she was a 2020 graduate, which everyone knows what happened. Second semester of 2020 was pretty much non-existing, and her high school intern program was kind of taken away, as everyone else in the in the country was. And she, I remember having conversations with her. It's all she wanted to do is be an engineer at Caterpillar. And about a year after we got kind of back, and I think we were still doing the remote thing, one of the group managers at Caterpillar came up to me and he said, I want to hire an engineering intern. Do you have anybody in mind? And of course, I said, yes, I do. And he goes, when can I meet him? And I said, I could have her here probably this afternoon. And just like that, she was. And I think this might have been a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And she started, I think, the following Monday. And she has since, she went through ICC for 2 years. And now she is a junior at Bradley. And she is going into manufacturing and tool design. And she is getting high honors at Bradley right now. And what's really cool about this even more is she's paying for her college 100% on her own through her internship with Caterpillar. So I wanted to end with her because I'm excited that she will be my first, college graduate, full-time engineer. And her job, her career pathway is already paved for her. The day she gets her degree, she's going to walk into a whole new environment at the same facility she's been for the last, 2 or 3 years. Okay, so next slide. And then coming up, 23 students will be eligible. Our current list for interns for next year are going from 15 to 23. And then for students not accepted into CAP program, identification of alternative business placements will occur. And the video that you're looking at is our welding lab at Manual, and you can see the stations. And another thing I want to talk about is I think we're on a 5 consecutive years. Caterpillar also comes in. They observe October as manufacturing month, and every October since I think we missed 2020, but from 2019 and then 21 on. They come in with about 30 production employees, some, group managers, factory managers. We've even had some of the Caterpillar VPs on site at school. And what they do is they call it an RIW, which is a rapid improvement workshop. And as I mentioned, we had against that wall, we had some just temporary walls put up to go between the different stations, and they came in and helped us build the permanent walls with the sheet metal. And you just seen a small part of it, but it actually wraps around, and that's about 30% of the stations that we have. So like I said, the partnership, we couldn't exist without it. And I believe, is that my last? Yeah, I believe that's my last slide. And I feel like I've taken enough time, right?
Well, thank you so much, Andrew, for just regrounding us in the student success story. It is terrific just to see. Oh, there we go. Just what's come out of all of your labor, and we just really appreciate what you all are doing down there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah. Matt, would you like to take it away?
Yeah, sure would. Hi, everybody. I'm Matt DeBain. I'm from the Moline Pool Valley School District. I'm an assistant superintendent for secondary teaching and learning. We have had one heck of a journey over the last handful of years for manufacturing and all types of career pathways. So if you wouldn't mind hitting the next slide, thank you. So really, truthfully, I know that we were probably very similar to a lot of people here. Certainly, I could relate to parts of what just got spoken about with Peoria. But here in the Quad Cities, we are often compared fairly or unfairly to the Iowa side and what Iowa might be doing with legislation, with how they place money and so on and so forth. So Iowa's had a very concerted effort towards towards work-based learning and supporting manufacturing, and we were desperately trying to end up keeping up with it. We had aging labs, we had limited partners, we ended up, and it wasn't that people didn't want to be a part of it. We had high interest, high support from staff, high support from the community. I know Dr. Bush from Blackhawk College is on this. He's someone who's been hand in hand with us, and in fact, I can remember a few meetings where he's desperately asking us, like, what can I do to help? And there was like nothing to help at that time that we could use from him. But because we ended up tapping a few ways that we knew we could end up growing, it started small and now it's growing pretty quickly. So if you could hit the next slide, please. So we had a few lessons learned through our pathways. You know, we had, like I said, the aging labs. We call them labs, but really they are a full production industry scale facilities. Our CNC manufacturing, our pathway with that. We have industry standard vertical mills and CNC lathes, plasma cutters. We actually just got done using some fundings, and we have replaced all of our hand metal lathes. We've worked with Blackhawk College. We've worked with John Deere and other industry people on both sides of the river, honestly. So we have the Iowa side companies taking as many of our interns as the Illinois side. And in working with manufacturing councils that we've created, we know that there is an interest from them for people to know the advanced manufacturing part while still be able to have a hand in the more hands-on approach to it. So even in welding, to have an analog and a digital welder is something that matters to people. So we were able to start growing this in particular in CNC manufacturing. We have dual credit with this. We have Department of Labor apprenticeships. Just got an email today that we are approved for college and career pathway endorsements for an education pathway, engineering, welding, and manufacturing. We're adding on a cybersecurity networking. This summer, we're adding in CNA, and we're also working with IBEW and the National Electricians Contracting Association for pre-apprenticeship programs as well as interim credentials. So we've got a lot going on. Just like Peoria, we have a signing day, kind of a sports style signing day, but it's a regional thing. We've really been building up to try to end up pacing the Iowa side. And I'm proud to say that as of last night, when there was apprenticeship signing day, we had the second most amount of apprentice signing in the Quad City area. Davenport beat us out by just a couple, but hopefully not next year. So one of the things that we're starting to notice, though, is that since there's a lot of regional support for us in manufacturing and we're competing with both sides of the river, we also end up having something, we're hitting a saturation point for apprenticeships. So there was a huge pull for welding. Our Department of Labor agreement currently has CNC manufacturing as well as welding on it. I've applied now for us to end up having tool and die as one of those options as well that could go into apprenticeship. So if you take our pathway for machining or CNC, you could end up getting into a tool and die apprenticeship. And the reason being for that is that there's now a lot of students vying for welding apprenticeships. And what we're starting to notice now is that we have a communication issue in that, you know, a lot of times parents in any regard of education, you know, we are job shadowed all the time. So, you know, a kid sitting in your class in third grade right now is job shadowing a teacher. And so a lot of times for our parents and our grandparents and community members, they went to school, they job shadowed, they saw a teacher work, and what was good for them then is good for them now. So our communication issue we're noticing is that parents and students know what a welding lab is. They know what photography is. They do not know what CNC is. And we have advertised and advertised. So the new thing that I've got started is there's the Illinois Student Assistance Commission. We have a student who sits on that from our high school. He sits on ISAC, and working with her, we have created CTE surveys for our high school, and we're moving to our middle schools as well. And student generated on the communication advertising part of everything. And so we got that data back. We're with that, it's that student from ISAC and myself, and we are creating a student assistance commission of our own for the Moline Coal Valley School District. They're going to analyze our data, analyze our communication strategies, and advise us on what's going to be the best way to end up informing people of moving forward. Because in a lot of ways, we just sound like Charlie Brown's teacher to the kids, even though we're talking about it. Next slide, please. So the other thing too is our variety of partners. Our community college has been phenomenal for us. We've had donors like for the CNC machine you see there. We had significant donors that helped us with that whole CNC lab renovation. We've also ended up having a couple instructors for New Way who does our CNC manufacturing. They were sent out to China to see how the process goes for developing these CNC machines. And so now we have students who have said that there's an interest in not necessarily want to jump fully in, but they want to get like an intro and get a feel for things. We're like, oh, okay, that's a good idea. We had enough interest where we could design a section for it. And once we advertised it, we had 120 students who wanted this class. So we've got a new problem, but it's a good problem to have. Middle schools are down for it too. We've really put a concerted effort there as well. Middle schools we feel are the time for exploration, and we make sure that we have explorational classes and college and career prep that allows them to see a variety of things, and in particular pathways that they would have options to at our high school. And that's that.
Thank you so much, Matt. I really appreciate you sharing what's happening down on the border war. And I know you're going to win next year, but really appreciate it. Jessica.
Hello. I'm Jessica Hayes. I'm the Work-Based Learning Coordinator with Rockford Public School District. Bridget French is on here too. She's the Executive Director of College and Career Readiness. Go next slide. A quick little background on us. We have been doing academy pathways for quite some time now. We have a production academy, which includes a manufacturing pathway, as well as a welding pathway, construction pathway. So what we did with our STAMP grant funds was we created manufacturing internships for the summer. So what we did is we paid 2 companies to host our summer interns. We positioned this out to all of our manufacturing pathway students in our production academy to apply for this internship. Once they applied for the internship, they had to interview with the companies as well as put in their application. Once each of the companies, both companies actually interviewed almost all the interns, and then they selected the interns from those interviews. We did have 6 students do the summer intern. We had 4 that were actually paid through the STAMP grant. One of our companies actually took a couple extra interns because they all interviewed so well that they took all of them on because they did not want any of them not to get an internship. So the initial internship started over last summer. We have 2 interns at Modern Advanced Manufacturing that were actually offered to intern all through the school year. They have now since been offered the apprenticeship program with our local Rock River Valley Tooling and Machining Association, and they've already been offered employment after their apprenticeship. So they took their summer internship. Now they got 2 semester credits during the school year as interns, and now they're offered employment and they're offered training, and the companies are it's phenomenal what they're offering these students. Jaron Industries actually offered one of the students employment. So he is working out there in the mornings, and then he is doing our career running start program, which was with our local community college. And he's actually gaining a certification in mechatronics, one post-graduation, and has been offered a position as well with Jaron Industries post-graduation. Next slide. I kind of went through this. The students went through the application process. Over the summer, they got paid for the summer internships. Then during the school year, they got offered credit, as well as the companies did pay them during their school year for their internships. Next slide. Lessons learned. We all know the barriers of under 18 in manufacturing. We got very fortunate that the 2 locations that did host our students had the insurance policies where they could host students 16 and over. So that was one of the biggest barriers in trying to find spots, is running into that over 18 barrier. One of the other things we had is we offered this to quite a few students. I think the biggest thing right now we are facing in all of the work-based learning that we do here, we do job shadows and everything, as well as student apathy. It's hard to find those students that are overly aggressive, that really are interested in it. So it's trying to get that student word out. I agree with having the students be able to come in and talk to other students. We are seeing that that's helping our work-based learning as well as helping our internships, is the other students telling them, you need to do this experience. It's phenomenal. You need to do it. So that's one of our biggest challenges, is getting more students to apply for the available work-based learning that we do have. Transportation is a big barrier for our students in our district. So that's one of the things that kind of limit some of the internships, because students have to be able to provide their own transportation to and from. So that's one of the things that we continue to try and address and overcome, is making sure that we can get students to their internships and get them the work-based learning experiences that they need. Next slide. What's next? This STAMP grant has actually really helped us kind of build out a structure for internships. It's given us a good guideline of what works and what doesn't. So it's allowing for us to expand our internships into other pathways. For example, we have IT interns, we have education interns. So this internship has really given us an ability to expand our internship program. Each year we want to offer more and more students internships. The 2 companies that hosted our students for internships are over and beyond willing to host them again, even without the STAMP funds. Everything went so well, and they had such a great experience that they're excited to continue the program and to continue to offer it to more students. One of the challenges we have is to try and find more locations. We have 2 or 3 manufacturing sites that are hosting the internships under the 18. So the goal is to try and expand that and share these best practices with them and other new locations on the best practices that we've done in the manufacturing internships, and getting them to sign on and jump on board so we can offer more locations for students. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Jessica. You've done a great job of working with your employers for those under 18 internship opportunities. I know a lot of communities struggle with that, so I'm going to put your name and number out there. Please talk to Jessica. She's a fantastic resource for that topic and many others. But thank you so much for sharing. Heather.
Hi, good evening. So I work for the Regional Office of Education. We are about an hour east of the Quad Cities. I saw on the news, WKAD had a great coverage of the signing day, so congrats on that. Janice is not here because she has a new grandbaby, so I'm a little jealous, but she is off enjoying that. One of our big takeaways from everything that we did with STAMP Grant was our kind of connection with the empathy interviews that we did last year, and kind of where our area kind of lacks. We have great partnerships. We have some great partnerships with our local community college and SOC, and with our career center. And our industry partners they were meeting long before STAMP. And so we had kind of a rallying of manufacturers in our area. So something we really learned about ourselves through the STAMP grant and through all of this is just our lack of females in the manufacturing field. And through those empathy interviews, we really learned, all of our districts will say, we don't tell our females they can't be a part of manufacturing. There's no barriers for them. And what's interesting with that is, well, there's barriers, but it's because we don't really share with our young women. We don't advocate for them to go into this type of field. And so we kind of talked about the social capital, getting our women connected with our industry partners. So we had these kind of conversations. We were able to kind of talk with our young women, interviewed some at the community college level, and then those students that are in our industrial arts classes. And so we took some things away from that. So next slide. And so we talked about doing career exploration early. We host our Pathway Playground for our 8th graders. And that is in all of our areas of all of our endorsements. But we learn from our women during these interviews that it's not just the career exploration or just the cool factory tours, because some of them had been on factory tours or had the opportunity to see them. But I really want to get my hands dirty. I really want to try something. Don't just walk me through the factory and let me see it. I want to try something. I want to see if this really is something that I am passionate about or doing. And so we want to start with that even earlier, which again is a challenge because, we're not going to put welders in the hands of middle schoolers, no matter what. But just being able to kind of get that connection a lot sooner, and not just kind of fall into the social norms, but be able to really have our counselors kind of advocate to our young women that this is a job or a role that they can see themselves in. Next slide. So our goals and some things that we've started, the non-attendance days, having 8th grade events with our girls. You can see the young woman in this picture here. She is a high school student that is taking college courses out at the community college in the evenings. And so we pulled her and asked her if she would do some kind of conversations with our middle school girls, and she was happy to do so. So it was a lot of fun to be able to connect with some of our students that have taken their own initiatives. Promoting CTE, the college hosted a CTE night to have in more than just manufacturing. We had them with ag and early childhood and law enforcement, and brought students out, let them see the community college, get them on a college campus. A lot of times in these CTE fields, students don't see themselves on a college campus. They think they just have to go to work right away. And so we wanted to give them an opportunity to get onto the college campus and for them to be able to see themselves there. It's not scary. And for a lot of, especially for those manufacturing students, they think that if I'm going to college, that means I have to write a 10-page English paper again. And so they're not going to go to college because I'm not going to step on a college campus and to advocate to tell them, hey, if you go into these CTE courses and these CTE certificate programs, you're not writing papers. We're not going to get you in taking the coursework that you need to take and on. So we were excited to be able to host that. Our goal for next year, we're going to be hosting a luncheon with our industry partners and our manufacturing students to build that social capital, to build that ability for our young people to be at the table with our industry partners so that they can meet who they are hopefully going to be employed with someday, and to be able to start building those relationships so that they can advocate for themselves and see themselves in the workforce.
Thank you so much, Heather. I love that you're laying an actual table to forge those connections at. So just really appreciate you sharing in your very clear how focused you have been on understanding what your female students need to transition into and succeed in a manufacturing pathway. So really appreciate the work you've been doing there. Last but not least, Julia.
Hi, everyone. I'm Julia Wickland, Ridgewood High School, and I'm actually a business teacher, but I'm also the internship coordinator. And I've started with our manufacturing pathway at its inception. So if we could go to the next. So we have at Ridgewood so much manufacturing literally across the street. Our kids don't need the transportation for their internships necessarily. They need it for the training. We send our kids to TMA during the first semester of their training, and then the second semester they do their internship. We say 60 hours, but usually our kids are getting more than their 60 hours. And oftentimes our kids are then going on and getting full-time summer employment. And this year we've even got kids lined up for full-time employment, full benefits for next year. Right now we are focusing on our seniors because we've been having a difficult time getting anybody under 18 into a true internship. It happens. We do have one business that will take students under 18 and get them a true experience, and we've got other ones that will give them other experience in other parts of the business. Okay, next slide. So how we've been building our program, junior class meeting we have every January, so we talk to them then to tell them about the program. But it's true, our students are our best advocates for this program. They're usually the ones telling their friends, their little brothers, friends to get into the program. We haven't, it's been pretty steady as far as the students signing up. Then we also have a Zoom meeting in May, so coming up very soon now, with all of the parents for next year's internship students, so that they know that the commitment that the students need to adhere to. I meet with the students the first week of school, and I have a class period with them during the day, so that they can see me on a regular, and that's when I start my resume building, their soft skills training. Second week of the semester, they start their TMA training. Our school provides them transportation to Schaumburg. We are just east of O'Hare, and Schaumburg's just west of O'Hare, so it works great. And some of the other things I do in the class is their practice interviews. Just the application process in general seems to be different depending on every business. Some have a lot more hoops to jump through than others. So we talk about follow through, making sure that they follow through with their commitments. I start contacting all of my previous internship sites in November. We get them all set up and interviewing in January, and then they're on the job early February. And that's 2 afternoons a week during school hours, so that they can still be in sports if they want. And some of them are and some of them aren't. I've got a lot of different kinds of students. I've got everything from the student that wants to be an engineer to the student that just barely can get out of bed to go to school, but amazingly never misses 1 minute of work. So, and that's really our goal, is to make sure that we meet all of the needs of our students. Some of our challenges, scheduling is a challenge because we're on an AB schedule. So that makes it a little bit different, because on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 1 week, I get to have them. And then maybe next week is the Tuesday, Thursday, unless there's a day off of school, and then it changes again. So that's always interesting. So we're working on changing that. I'm working every day to make sure that my students who don't love school that they are still going to graduate. And these are still kids that they already have a full-time job waiting for them, but we're still trying to get them across the stage. It's always making sure to find the right placement per student, with what they need. Okay, we can go to, all right, so this is Camille. Camille is very smart, doesn't love school, but knows that this program is going to be a good fit for him. I do have 10, now 12 students on the books for next year. I need to add some more internship sites, so I'm already working on that. TMA has been very helpful with that. Our internship sites that I do have are very good at taking extra if they can. So that's always nice. And we are, like I said, working on fixing the schedule so that it's just a little bit more consistent with workday instead of a changing schedule every week. So I hope this video will work.
I am actually, since we're coming up, well, we're just hit past 5 o'clock. I'm going to send the video out for everyone to watch afterwards,
wonderful.
if that's okay, Julie. Julia, thank you. Okay, Julie, thank you so much for sharing. I can hear how student-centered your work is in practice as well as in policy, and I just really appreciate how you bring that into your space. So thank you so much for sharing what's happening in Ridgewood. Well, all of you, we have some more things on the agenda, but we are at time. And so I'm going to send out additional recording on what's happening with the STAMP dashboard and a few other fun things. So you'll get the link to explore it on your own. And Musi, this is some transparent facilitation, but we're going to ask you to do a little recording of what's new on there. And we really encourage you to engage with that. Also, we'll share those numbers on what's happening both with the endorsement numbers as well as access to the resources that have been developed through the STAMP program. But before you go, I want you to hear a little bit about the manufacturing scholarship that the IMA has offered to all of your districts.
Yes, and I will, thank you, Sarah, and I'll make it quick. Thank you all for those amazing presentations. You had so many inspirational stories that can definitely be shared in my conversations, again, at the legislature and with other regions with manufacturers. So thank you all for all the effort that you've put in and all the work that you've done over the last couple of years and really your entire careers. The scholarship is open. So what we did want to make clear for this year is that it is available to students who are not going to a post-secondary institution, who are just going directly into the workforce, which is also amazing. That just shows the dual credit and everything is being offered to the students when you have them those 4 years, and then they're off if they're not interested in doing any education post high school. It is open. The Kaleidoscope website will be updated to reflect the 2024 application, but make sure we have funds available for this. And so make sure that you're sharing this with your students before you lose them for the summer so that they can take advantage. If you have any questions, you feel free to reach out to me.
Perfect. Thanks, Sarah. Well, we will be in touch soon. We're still waiting to hear from DCEO if we will be renewed for our STAMP grant in future, but we will be sure to let all of you know once we know. And but until then, thank you for all of the work that you have done to invest in manufacturing pathways, and most importantly, those students in your manufacturing pathways. We see it, we appreciate it, and we're so glad that we had this chance to just hear and learn from each other today. So thanks to all of our presenters as well. Take care, everybody.